Hi, Dr. Alina Kolchitsky, Boutique Bodyworks. I'm physical therapy, nutrition, lifestyle medicine, fitness, and more. I'm going to talk about how to eat more plant-based. So in a previous video, I spoke about why. Why would you want to eat more plant-based? Well, let me just remind you. So chronic disease is preventable. The major killers in our modern society of the Western world are number 1, heart disease. Number 2, cancer. Number 3 is unintentional injuries. But number 4 is stroke. And so it goes on, the list down to things that are preventable. Those things, other than unintentional injuries, are preventable. So, for example, with a whole food plant-based, so there is a difference. The foods need to be in the whole form, not processed. Processed foods of all kinds, even if it's soy, corn, grains, they are not going to be healthy for us. So it needs to be in the whole form. Think of your package. The less it's processed, that package of food you put into your mouth rather, then the more nutrient dense and better it is for you. So benefits of a whole food plant-based diet: changes in your epigenetics. So what is epigenetics? Well, it's factors outside of our genes, so other factors with the exception of our genes that influence the expression of our genes. So just because you are genetically predisposed to diabetes or Alzheimer's, the gene does not have to be flipped on. Epigenetic factors flip that gene on to now cause that disease process to become, to express, to become. So by eating more plant-based with whole foods and the other pillars of health and lifestyle medicine, you are less likely to turn that gene on or prevent it from expressing. Normalizing angiogenesis, and that reduces comorbid disease such as cancer and heart disease. Especially eating leafy greens, cruciferous being broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, that family of vegetables, onions, and mushrooms. So those 4 plant groups are important for normalizing angiogenesis, or your production and care of your red blood cells in your arteries and veins. Lowering your total caloric intake by eating whole foods, that's what tends to happen. It reduces your feelings of hunger by eating whole real food, and that aids in weight loss. We know the cascade of weight loss in terms of health benefits. Improves your insulin sensitivity. So again, independent of weight loss. So eating a more plant-based whole food diet, you will be more insulin sensitive, so less predisposed to diabetes. Also helps to lower overall endothelial cell injury through the addition of antioxidant foods. So plants in their raw, not necessarily raw, in their whole form, they can be cooked whole foods, give you lots of antioxidants, which counter oxidative stress from cellular metabolism, which is inevitable. We have to metabolize, our cells have to do what they do for us to live. It creates oxidative stress. Well, to counter oxidative stress, we need antioxidants. They come from plants. The more colorful your diet, the better. Also, so this is pro-inflammatory as a result. Also, it lowers overall endothelial cell injury. Oh, we just talked about that. Protects your beta cells, so that's in the pancreas that produce insulin. Eating more plant-based whole food protects those cells. It normalizes your lipid profile, therefore, your leptin and adiponectin pathway, so your hunger satiety hormonal regulation. They are down-regulating inflammatory cascades, normalizing glucose, and stabilizing your immune system. All of that achieved through protecting your beta cells in the liver. Also improves glycemic control, so your blood sugars. It also aids in production of butyrate, which helps to enhance, again, insulin sensitivity, mineral absorption, cholesterol and triglycerides, decrease glycolysis in the liver, and improve satiety. Also, eating whole food plant-based reduces pain associated with peripheral neuropathy. And that can happen for multiple reasons. There could be multiple causes for that, but basically improves blood flow and metabolism in the periphery. So, those are all reasons. Also, though, consider cost. Eating a whole food plant-based diet reduces cost for society and yourself in terms of the medical bills that come from being chronically ill. Medications, doctor's visits, hospitalizations, procedures, and so on. All of that's reduced by eating whole food plant-based. It's more sustainable than, an animal-based diet. And so it takes more land to produce animal protein than it does to produce plants. And resources in terms of water and all that kind of stuff. Also, it can reverse diabetic retinopathy. So that is when people lose their vision and go blind from the cascade of the diabetic process in our body and how that affects your eyes. Also, let's see, the planetary impact overall, right? Look at us with climate change. Things are changing quickly. Year of 2023 with floods, fires, hurricanes, and so on. Okay, so again, that was a lot in terms of recapturing what we talked about in the previous videos are why to eat more plant-based. Let's talk specifically about 4 diseases that are preventable and even possibly reversible. So hyperlipidemia, when you have high lipids or fats in your bloodstream. So the diet component affecting that, if you decrease your meat consumption and eat more plant foods and replace trans and saturated fats with unsaturated fats, so your poly and mono unsaturates that come from, olive oil, avocado oil, nuts and seeds, increased nuts and seeds for the omega-3 fats, all of that can decrease your blood lipids and improve your cholesterol profile, basically. Hypertension or high blood pressure. If you increase your proportion of plant foods in your diet, it reduces sodium, whole food plant-based, and limits alcohol consumption. So in those 2 ways, sodium and alcohol, we impact our blood pressure. Type 2 diabetes. So when our blood glucose over time is elevated and insulin elevated, we can develop type 2 diabetes. So by eating more whole food plant-based, we have more fiber, we get reduced overall fat, and reduced simple refined carbohydrate. So those are 3 strategies to reduce your blood sugars and insulin and prevent diabetes. More whole foods in the form of plants, and that gives us more fiber, less sugar, less refined carbohydrate. Lastly, cancer. Eating more whole food plant-based means we're getting an antioxidant-rich diet, as I mentioned before, getting high fiber, lower total animal protein, and total protein. So a high-protein diet is associated with increased risk for cancer. Yes, I will say it again. A high-protein diet can increase your risk for cancer, and definitely a high animal protein diet. So we need protein, absolutely. We do want to prevent muscle loss as we age, which also has to come from exercising, resistance exercise. But eating too much protein actually ages you and predisposes you to cancer. Okay, so those are your whys. A lot of reasons why. It took me 10 minutes to talk about all that, but it's important to understand. So let's look at a plate here. How do we eat more whole food plant-based? So our plate, here's just your standard size plate. You want most of this to be filled with plants. Now we talked about needing protein. We do need carbohydrate, but that's what gives us energy, our prime energy source. But we don't need them to be in the refined form, so they need to be in the form of vegetables, some fruit, and whole grains. We get benefits of other nutrients in all of those types of foods, so we shouldn't be eliminating any of those foods from our diet. Fruits are high in sugar, fructose, and we don't want too much of that, so it's recommended for men 2 cups of fruit a day. This is a cup, okay? So my fist can fill this cup. Of course, it depends on the size of the fist. And I'm a woman, my fist isn't as big as, say, a large man. But general guideline for just a rule of thumb, haha, pun intended, is the size of your fist is a cup. Now, if you're going to cook and bake, that's not going to work. This is not, a scientific measurement. So, but you're just using that as a simple guideline in terms of portion control. So 2 cups of fruit a day for men in the whole day. So you could fit an orange in here, an apple, a cup of berries. You get the idea. Just 2 servings. For women, 1. Okay? I'm sorry, 1.5. 1.5 for women, 2 for men. Okay, when it comes to carbohydrate, there can be reasons as you go through your life cycle to reduce grains in your diet, but again, you do need some. So I've gotten to a point where after the age of 40, eating a low carb diet, not keto, but low carb, I get about a cup of grains a day in my diet. That seems to work for me. My blood work does not show any deficiencies at all. Of course, check with your doctor and also check your blood work so that you manage for sure and know exactly what's happening in your body. So I know that that is working for me because I've been doing this for several years, more than several years. I'm now 51. I've been doing this since I was 42, and my blood work is great. I don't have any deficiencies. So that's what works for me. My whole grains come in the form of brown rice, rolled oats, quinoa, and so you could experiment with others. I like buckwheat, although I don't eat it as often as I'd like to. So there's other choices, but they have to be whole grain, not refined. White rice is refined. Rice noodles, wheat bread. Those are any kind of bread that has been processed, not using the whole kernels of the grain, is refined. So be careful what types of bread you choose. For example, I have no endorsements by saying this, but Ezekiel bread, where they use sprouted grains, that's an example of a whole grain bread. Okay, they do tend to cost more. So your plate should contain a serving of protein and some carbohydrate and some healthy fats, and that's it. So I like to think of my plate as being 3 ounces of protein. For me, it comes in the form of extra firm tofu, nuts and seeds. There is protein in your plants, and there is protein in your like plants being vegetables and fruit a little bit. Some of those have more than others, like peas. Green peas are really high in protein. Beans are very high in protein. Just 1 cup of pinto beans is 41 grams of protein. So that's a lot. You don't have to eat meat or animal protein to get your protein. So what I want you to start thinking about is, where else can you get your protein from other than just animal products? We consume 10% of our calories in America from dairy. Dairy is high in cholesterol and naturally contains trans fats. So not the good kind of cholesterols we want in our diet, because those lead to heart disease and so on, increasing our risk for heart attack and stroke. So trying to get away from dairy. So it doesn't mean we can never eat it. Just reduce the amount that you have in your meals and in your day. So I do eat a smattering of dairy here and there. I prefer to have it in my breakfast in the form of 1% or skim milk yogurt and I do have a smattering of cheese. Sometimes I'll sprinkle a little bit of cheese on my meals, but it's not even an ounce. So consider your serving size. So, but it does add protein. So eggs, also another example, healthy for you in small quantities. Maybe 2 a week is ideal in terms of not increasing your cholesterol, because again, that comes with bad cholesterol, so you want to not eat them every day. Okay, so consider getting protein more from your beans, legumes, being also lentils, and nuts and seeds. We do want to have most of your plate being from vegetables, especially the non-starchy vegetables. So what are starchy vegetables? Well, those are your tubers, and like your potato, sweet potato, squashes, peas. Those are all starchy vegetables. You can eat them, absolutely. They're good for you. But we want like half our plate to be high fiber, non-starchy form of plants. So we're talking about mushrooms, onions, and the onion family, leek, garlic, cruciferous vegetables. So we're talking about your cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, also tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini. Those kinds are your non-starchy types that are going to be higher in water and fiber, and not starch. So half your plate, non-starchy vegetable, and serving of protein, so 3 ounces of preferably not animal protein. You can smatter some animal product if you like for, flavor and mouthfeel and so on, but try to make most of your protein come from plants. You could, if you eat animal protein, choose healthier options, not red meat, but rather fish. Seafood is high in cholesterol or can increase your cholesterol, so be careful with shellfish, and instead choose fish that are less likely to have heavy metals in them, such as salmon, cod, and make them, sustainable. Although I don't like to consume farmed because that has other issues carried with it. I prefer wild caught, and so that's true for salmon and for cod. Those are my 2 primary choices, and trout here and there for fish. Again, you can eat shellfish, just don't eat them every day, because they do carry, the likeliness to increase your cholesterol. You can also consider protein from poultry, turkey, chicken, but make sure that it's farm-raised, organic, it's not eating GMO corn, that it's eating what they normally would eat and on a farm. So make sure you check with your local producers and know what you're getting, because in the grocery store, not everything is what it seems, including for organic products. It's better to support your local producers anyways, if possible. If you have a local farmer's market or butcher, start having conversations and developing relationships with them so you can be in more control of the quality of your food. What else? So healthy fats. Healthy fats, we need them. They help us for our brain and hormone production, and we want some, but not too much. Healthy fats also come in the form of our oils and in of course, animals, and those aren't healthy. Are healthy from oils, nuts, and seeds. We can get fats from animals for sure. They're high in fats. They're actually higher in fats than in protein. Yes, again, I said it. Animal products are high in fats, more than protein. So another reason to reduce your consumption of animal products. I'm not saying never, just small here and there. So a tablespoon. Okay, a tablespoon, if you consider your oils, preferably olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed on site where they're grown is the healthiest. Also least likely to get rancid or fake oils, because there are lots in your grocery store that say they're olive oil and they aren't. They've cheated, big thanks to our poor labeling laws that don't protect us but instead protect commercialism. So again, go for cold pressed on site where they're picked. A tablespoon or 2 on your meal is sufficient for your healthy fats. So if I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of olive oil in my meal, then I might skip putting nuts and seeds, because that's going to be a lot of fat. I don't want to gain weight. I want to keep a healthy weight. So consider that when you're choosing your fats. Same with your nuts and seeds. Try just about this much for nuts and seeds, 1 to 2. When you use them, it's good to use a combination. So if I, for example, make a stir fry for lunch, I will put a tablespoon of oil, extra virgin olive oil, on my frying pan. I'll saute my foods, being my tofu extra firm and my veg. I will have pre-cooked my brown rice in an Instapot and take out about a cup, usually half a cup, to add in there at the end. And then I'll put a tablespoon of cashews or almonds or pumpkin seeds, whatever you like. But having a combination of those fats give us lots of health benefits, because again, the more variety, the more diverse the nutrients, micronutrients you're getting, and the better for your health, both for the good bacteria in your gut that like to different kinds consume different types of fibers and different colors of plants, and just also for the vitamins and minerals. The more diverse your diet, the better. So consider that. Try to do a combination of fats, some olive oil, some nuts and seeds. When I have breakfast, if it's going to be a smoothie or yogurt or cottage cheese, I will put a cup of berries. I will put a tablespoon of raw walnuts. I will put a tablespoon of sunflower seeds, and I will sprinkle some hemp seeds or flax seeds. So I'm getting a nice variety of healthy fats by doing that. So that's just an example. Same within a smoothie. I use pea protein. It's nothing but peas. It's called Naked Pea. Again, I don't get any endorsements for saying that. I like that product just because it's, though it's a processed food, it is minimal ingredients. There's no stabilizers or additives. It's just ground up peas. So that's a more minimally processed food. So I use that with, again, a cup of berries. I'll use some almond milk. I like milk because it's just almonds and water, nothing else, no gums, no stabilizers, etc. And I will add a tablespoon of walnuts and a tablespoon of sunflower seeds. I also like to add a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon for the anti-inflammatory effects. You get the idea. So lunch, I told you what I tend to do, but also check out my food demo videos. There are tons of recipe ideas for different meals that are all plant-based. If you like animal protein, choose fish. It's a healthier choice. Or if you must, poultry. But remember, the less animal products, the better. So you can have a smattering of it, and that does give you B12 vitamin and some other things that vegans can be deficient in, because the B12 does come in animal products, although it does come in nutritional yeast. So if you're vegan, add nutritional yeast to your diet daily to help you get your B12. Also consider multivitamin. I do take a multivitamin regardless. That I do eat fish here and there, shellfish here and there, eggs a couple times a week, dairy a little bit every day. But so I'm like a flexitarian that doesn't eat mammals. But whatever your dietary preference, make sure that you're getting all your nutrients. Consider a good multivitamin, and make sure you're getting B12 if you are vegan. So I hope that helps. Think of your plate as being half non-starchy veg, a 3-ounce serving of protein, preferably not animal, and your healthy fats. Okay, so play with your foods, experiment, but keep those things in mind when you're mixing and matching. So your kitchen is your laboratory. Now you've got your measurements, okay? Your cup, when you're out, a fist, right? So a fist of your grains, a fist, let's see, 3 fists of vegetables, and half a fist of your protein, yeah? So that might give you just a very basic rule of thumb to help you figure out your proportions. If in doubt, measure. You know, maybe take a couple of weeks to journal and actually measure what you're eating, and, you know, 2 tablespoons, not more, of healthy fats. Avocado is another good one for healthy fats. If I eat avocado, it's not more than 1 a day, but think of those sizes, measurements to help you guide you in how much you choose for your plate. So 3 fists of non-starchy veg, 1 fist or half of your whole grains, and half a fist of your protein, 2 or 1 tablespoon of healthy fats. Hope that was helpful, a little long in the tooth. Check out my other videos and check out my food demos for ideas of how to make simple, delicious, plant-based meals in less than 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be complicated, I promise you. You just have to get creative and change the way you're used to doing things. Thank you. Bye for now.